morning, everybody. Afternoon, depending on what time you want to consider it. It's Wednesday. I figured I'd do a video just to go over first aid kits, what I think of them, what should be in them, stuff like that. The problem is everybody always asks, what should be in a first aid kit? And my number one reply is, what are you yourself planning for? Uh, is it a small event, large event? How many people? Stuff like that. That's where you should be basing your first aid supplies off of. When you look at OSHA requirements in the workplace, for an example, they don't say what's supposed to be in the kit, but what they say is it should be able to treat so many people out of that first aid kit. So I tell people one of the first things I do is make a list of the type of injuries you think you're going to run into. Um, is it in a wilderness setting? Is it a disaster setting? Um, Home emergencies? Whatever. And that's where I would start building my first aid kit from. Because everybody always asks, what should I include in it? And I tell them it varies. You know, you got to really think about what you're going to need. The other things that I have seen is the type of kits. Um, is it in the vehicle kit? Is it in a backpack? Is it in a like an IFAC or individual first aid kit? Is it a EMS bag? Whatever. You got to determine how big you want to go and what you want to carry. Same way with, is it going to be at a bug out location? Is it going to be whatever? And the next thing is can you move your supplies if you need to? And that's things you got to really think about. Um, so I'm going to start off with first aid kits. The first thing I always tell people is if you're going to buy commercial, be very, very careful. Pre-made kits a lot of times are hyped up with supplies, but there's not a ton of stuff in them. Perfect example would be these hard case type kits that you can find at Walmart. And if you look at this, you will see probably half of what's supposed to be in this kit is band-aids. Um, which is great for everyday accidents if you have kids, whatever. But is that really going to be what you need when you're at the scene of an emergency? So I always tell people if you're going to buy pre-made, that's fine. I do that. And then I gut them. I take everything out of them and then I put in it what I want. This one, for example, is a house first aid kit. This one's kept under the sink. Normally, this is where my wife's going to go. So, band-aid type stuff, since I have a son, maybe one of the bigger things. But I've added to this. Some of the stuff I've added to it is first aid stuff. Um, Another good thing I carry is Dorobon, like super glue. That's an add-on. You're not going to find that in any kit unless you're ordering it from a medical supply company or something like that. Um, but I carry that in my kits along with basic bandaging like 2x2s, 3x3s, 4x4s, an emergency blanket, some pet wrap or Coban. Uh, this stuff you're not always going to find in kits, but it's good stuff. Some other stuff I carry is roller gauze tweezers. They may not be fancy, but if my wife would need, they're there. Um, Iodine wipes, they're like a Q-tip. What we use these a lot of times for is on the ambulance. If somebody's very sweaty, we can quick use the iodine, put it on their chest for the electrodes to stick to them. But there's other uses for this stuff. Um, Another thing I carry, tongue depressors. Not always for what you would think, but I can use it for a splint for the finger, um, checking somebody's mouth if they have something in their mouth, whatever. But there's different uses of that type of stuff. Um, Sting swab, stuff like that, alcohol preps, any of that type of stuff I keep in here. Some other oddball stuff that I always make sure I add is gloves. Not just one size fits all. A lot of times I'll make up little baggies with gloves in it, specific sizes: small, medium, large, extra large. Um, but that's things you got to look at, you know. And these kits can vary in price, you know, from $4 upwards of $20 at Walmart or more, to you can buy pre-made kits online where you can spend over $100, $200. But some other things that come in handy that I like about first aid kits is they do have some basic instructions with them. Not a lot, but hey, if you're unprepared, don't know what to do, that stuff's on here. So I always tell people, you know, look at that too when you buy your kits. So they're not real fancy, um, but there's ways to beef them up. One of the things I have done is um, I bought one of these pre-made kits from Walmart, the tan ones, normally in the backpacking section. Originally, these were like $15, I think I paid for it. I like the bag, so I kept the bag, and I've added a lot to it. Um, some of the stuff I added to it includes sunscreen lotion, little packets, you know, so that can come into play. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but I'm going to try to show you where I've added stuff. Um, Antibiotic ointments, um, bacitracin ointments, to insect protection cream, Blistex on this side, Advil, Tylenol, um, aspirin, non-aspirin. Um, in here, I also have burn cream, sting relief swabs, um, Q-tips, cold medicine, more tongue depressors, um, along with so much other stuff, electrolytes, uh, tablets. If anybody's ever tried them, you can ask certain people; they'll tell you what they taste like. My definition is pretty much they taste like crap. But hey, if you need it, they're there. Benadryl I carry in mine, iPads, safety pins, a small mirror, gloves, 5x9s are in this back part here. So I've added to that just in case I need larger dressings down the regular 4x4 stuff like that. On this side, I've added Pepto, um, antiseptic wipes, first aid instructions. Some other little things that people don't think about would be your steri strips of various sizes, um, along with non-adhesive dressings I've added to mine. So if you get something, you can do it without it sticking to it. Um, to like a Sudafed type product in here, um, along with tape, band-aids. Um, Also in here is my blister kit. So if you get somebody with blisters, especially if it's outdoors type event, I have all that type of stuff pre-baggied, separated. Same way with the band-aids are separated. Makes it easier to organize your kit. But that's only some of the basics I keep in this one, along with emergency blanket. So I've added a lot to this because a lot of times all these are boo-boo band-aid bags with a lot of band-aids. But sometimes the bags are nice. This one has a lot of pockets, makes it easy to organize, and add a lot of your medicines and keep it organized. This is another kit I keep in the house, but depending on where I'm going, this will go with me because this is a beefed up little bag. So let me quick zip this out of the way. Um, One of the other kits that I made up, this is kept in my work bag, my work EDC bag, um, would be a emergency blanket. Um, I am sure this is probably orange and silver, but I'm not looking at uh, hiding myself with this type of kit. This is more for if something happens, I can stay protected from the elements. So I carry one of those in here. Um, I keep a cat tourniquet in my bag, already preset, so if I need it, it's in here. You're not going to get a cat tourniquet with this type of kit. Um, I've added a cravat, to it. Some of them come with it, some of it don't. This bag I got for nothing. Somebody was throwing it away, but I wanted it for making a first aid kit. Throw in some extra gloves, some other things I keep in here, a thermometer with extra probes, a pair of mini shears I keep in here, glucose, Band-Aids are here, Tums, uh, saline eye wash, Advil, Tylenol, um, Pepto, cold medicine, uh, various other medicines are on this side here, which would be your non-aspirin, aspirin, uh, lip balm type stuff, first aid cream, stuff like that are all in here. Also, I keep nail polish remover with me, a nasal airway. This is, take that, the tourniquet, your emergency blanket, and I can start treating for trauma, be it if it's a shooting, car accident, whatever. The only thing I don't have readily available would be chest seals, but I can make them out of other stuff. I do carry the Vaseline dressings, which I can use the foil to make the chest seals with tape. So I keep that in my bag also. I carry 4. Along with basic bandaging, steri strips, 5x9, stuff like that are also in this kit. Some other things I've added to this is these water gel burn dressings. These are expensive. Realize that they do expire. Even like these are, I think, are coming up on expiration, but it does help, especially for burns. It can stop that burning process. So this type of stuff I keep in my kits. But you got to figure out what you want in your kit and how you want to set it up. There's so many different variations of these kits, and I tell people you got to figure out what you want to put in it. I can't tell you. So that's things to think about. One of the other kits that I have, and don't mind me just showing my table here while I grab my third kit. This one is a setup if I would need in an emergency to be able to treat somebody. Not for me, but if I have a paramedic with me, there's IV fluids in here, IV needles. This would be a last resort type kit during a major event when somebody's dying, and if we can make a difference, we will try to do that. That kit I do not carry with me. That's in a secure location if we would ever need it. One of the other things I do recommend is, especially nowadays, if you have the money, is to get yourself an IFAK kit. The only thing I do recommend is making sure, what I would do is make sure that you have a way, and this will work. I do have the capabilities to make this work, is to fasten this to a belt in an emergency during an active shoot or whatever. I want this to hang from my waist. Because I have this set up that I can work this bag without looking at it. So if I had to look downstream of where the shooters are or the active violence is coming from, I'm always facing downstream. I can work out of this bag and try to limit my eye contact with the patient and worry about watching what's going on below me. I want to be careful of a second attack or anything like that. This bag is designed for that. Not everything's in here, only because I've been doing a lot of training, so I use this a lot when I'm going to classes. I carry 2 cat tourniquets, which eventually I'm going to upgrade to a different style tourniquet to the soft T, but I do carry 2 cat tourniquets, a roll of the pet wrap or Coban, an ace bandage. I also keep a glow stick in here, one for low light visibility. If it's very dark, I'll have some type of visibility. On the opposite side, nasal airway, some QuikClot. I carry expired AED pads, Some people would say, why expired pediatric AED pads? I can use these as chest seals in an emergency. They work in an emergency and can help seal the chest pretty quickly. I also carry the foil style bandages, so I can include that. Also in my active shooter bag are two chest needles. Realize I am not discussing how to use any of this stuff. It's just talking about what's in the kit. So that is my disclaimer. So nobody does anything stupid and say, well, he said I could do it. That's not what this is. This is just an overview of the kit and what I keep in mind. The nasal airways is so I can treat somebody. Also in here is an emergency blanket, very basic, active shooter bag if I need it, basic bandaging. Remember that when we're using the active shooter bag type stuff, this is designed to go with the March type acronym for treating the patient. This is not a full-blown going to be able to save somebody every time. This is designed to begin treatment and rapidly get that person out of there. But remember, all of this in the IFAK type kit is useless while the gunfight's still ongoing. You must realize that we have to put lead down stream towards the active shooter or the people that are causing the violence, because if not, you can become the victim. So this is designed to be used after we're able to suppress. The biggest thing is if somebody's shot, I could throw them the tourniquet. Hopefully they can put it on themselves, or I could instruct them how to use it. If the only time I'm going to this is after the threat's neutralized, or they have them pinned down and I can start treating. Realize this is designed for a one-person type incident, but I might be able to get 2 patients out of this kit if I had to, because I have it beefed up. But realize this is just basic stuff. Nothing always that you're going to be able to use all the time on everybody. So I try to tell people, be prepared, understand that, realize what's going on when it's happening, and make sure you're prepared for the emergencies. What do you carry? Any type of questions you would have. Not sure if it's in my at the end of my YouTube in my information, and I don't know if my email's there. But if you have questions, feel free to ask even below the video. I'll try to answer it. I do not have all the answers, but I want people to understand, what we carry, and things to think about. If don't believe the saying about tampons for shootings. I would not even look at carrying something like that. Remember, if you were to take the tampon apart, it's basically a 4x4, and I might try to do a video about the biggest differences of these type of things. But I'd rather have a roll of gauze 10 feet long versus a 4x4 trying to treat a gunshot wound to try to pack that wound, because it may not work. You got to pack it right and know what you're doing. So this is just one of those videos. I know it's long. It's going to run about 20 minutes, but it's just going over the basics of first aid kit, some of the things that I carry, a brief overview, not very detailed. I may try to do one on my vehicle kit that I carry. Besides the basic one on the door I carry, I also carry in a first due, I call it a jump bag, medical bag, because of being an EMT, I carry a lot of extra stuff. So if something happens while I'm out there, I can also treat with that bag. So I'll try to go over some of that other stuff, just explain some of the things out there and what we carry. I'm hoping in the future to do some more videos, if I have time, on different things, including some type of the disaster injuries we may run into, And if there's specific videos you would like me to try to work on, feel free to ask. I'll try to do them. Like I said, I'm new to this. I'm not an expert. Um, I'm not worried about how many people like my videos. I'm not worried about thumbs down. I don't care who likes them, who doesn't. My thing is making sure I get proper information out there on what I know and how it works. There may be other means, there may be other answers that I don't know, but hopefully this is something interesting for you.